Welcome. I am Melissa Held-Bordy, Chair of the Ziegler Advisory Board, and it's my pleasure to welcome our honored rabbis, our soon-to-be ordained rabbis, their family and friends, and the faculty and staff of the Ziegler School of Rabbinical Studies to our 17th ordination ceremony. We are very happy to once again this year be able to hold our ordination on our own beautiful campus. I'd like to thank Zofia Yolofsky and her staff, Sam Levitt and his staff, and Jeff Stewart and his staff for their tireless efforts in making this all possible. The Ziegler School is a magical place where our students travel a challenging, exciting, and transforming path from which they are emerging today at their ordination. During my years on the Ziegler Advisory Board, and certainly as chair the last couple of years, I have been taken by the intelligence, dedication to learning, and emphatic spirit that has characterized the students at the Ziegler School. The Ziegler Board has been fortunate to mentor and to learn with the students. We have been kept apprised and been awed by their stories about their accomplishments, their travels, and their work as interns throughout our community. I am not alone in praising these students. The entire Ziegler Board joins me in applauding their accomplishments this year and every year. The Ziegler Board functions as an active, informed, and dedicated board, and it is my pleasure to serve with its members. We take very seriously our role to provide advocacy on behalf of the rabbinical students, faculty, and administration, and we are the sounding board for new policies and proposals that will benefit our school. We bring the work of the Ziegler School to the broader community here in Los Angeles and around the country and abroad, and participate in and create various programs that directly benefit the students of the school. We are continually working to help strengthen the economic viability of the school into the future. At this time, I would like to have the members of the Ziegler Board rise to be acknowledged. Thank you all for your work. I would also like to acknowledge the extraordinary leadership of our dedicated professionals and scholars, led by Rabbi Bradley Shevet Artson. The leadership and staff of the Ziegler School are my heroes. They lead and instruct with wisdom and passion. Rabbi Artson, Rabbi Alexander, and Rabbi Peretz exemplify the ideas of conservative Judaism through their efforts and the dedication of the entire school faculty and staff. Our school enjoys an outstanding international recognition. I thank them tonight on behalf of the Ziegler Board and the leadership of the American Jewish University. I would also like to extend our congratulations and best wishes to Rabbi Alexander as he moves on to an exciting new rabbinical position in Washington, D.C. Rabbi Alexander, we will miss you. I'd like to ask Rabbi Artson and the entire faculty and staff to stand, and I'd like you to join me in a round of applause to acknowledge their superb leadership. We have always been proud that our ordained rabbis are people who can transmit the values of Judaism and enrich lives, each in their own unique way, while touching the souls of congregations, hospitals, chaplaincies, colleges, Hillels, schools, Federation, and other institutions. Tonight, all of us will witness the ordination of another group of extraordinary people who have the passion and dedication to model the ideas of conservative Judaism in the modern world. On behalf of the Ziegler Board and everyone here tonight, please know that you have our utmost respect for all you have accomplished and our admiration and dedication and our love. And now I am pleased to call upon Rabbi Aaron Alexander, Associate Dean of the Ziegler School, to open this joyous occasion with an invocation. Rabbi Alexander.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kichanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Praised are you, God, majesty of all creation, whose commandments add holiness to our lives and obligate us to be engaged with words of Torah. There's a common trope in rabbinic literature that equates Torah and water. Ein Torah ela mayim. Torah is none other than water. While there are similarities, to me, the comparison often feels a bit unrealistic. One view asserts that just as water is a necessary life-giving force to the physical body, so too Torah is a necessary life-giving force to the spirit. Okay, for some people. Another claims that just as water has the power to purify a person from corporeal impurity, so too does Torah contain the capacity to purify the soul from spiritual contamination. I just don't think there's enough water in the world to help us with that. My favorite 19th century Baghdadi, because I have one, Rabbi Yosef Chaim, the Ben Ish Chai, offers a third interpretation of Ein Torah ela mayim that I think captures more holistically what it is we intend with such a comparison. He points out that an intrinsic characteristic of water is that it takes on any color that is added to it. Black, white, red, orange, blue. Water becomes that color. And not just that color itself, but each has a multitude of shades within, an infinite number of possibilities. So too, Torah, writes the Ben Ish Chai. Each letter, each verse, each book offers itself to an illimitable rainbow of interpretations. If you learned it, you must only have read it once. And if you did read it twice, you certainly didn't read it a third time. And if maybe by chance you read the verse 3 times, nobody explained it to you properly. Exactly opposite its apparent meaning. I suspect that many of us here don't choose a life with Torah because we couldn't otherwise find meaning, answers, or decision-making tools without it. There are multiple authentic paths to goodness, and we already possess so much of what we need to navigate life. But at the same time, we still affirm that even though we may be able to figure life out absent the book, we crave a timeless and distinctly Jewish vessel that can embrace, enlighten, and elevate our experiences, our relationships, our pain, our mistakes, our love, and our imaginations. Therein lies the true gift of an expansive Torah. It's bigger than a blueprint. It's an elegantly decorated chest filled with empty chambers waiting for us to insert into it our lives, our hearts, to not only glean from its message, but to help shape it as well. Ribono Shel Olam, Master of the world, tonight we gather to offer you something absolutely unique, the caretakers of your sacred vessel. For it is true that in each of us, you have implanted the capacity for sacred artistry, but it is in these skilled 10 soon-to-be rabbis who have trained and toiled to master the labyrinths that animate your words, simply to offer your world the keys with which to unlock the bounty of meaning, service, creativity, and love. Amen.
One of the hidden perks that has come from my involvement with the AJU is getting to know some incredible scholars and leaders. At the top of this list is my wonderful friend, Rabbi Dr. Robert Wexler, president of the American Jewish University. The longer I know and get to work with Dr. Wexler, the more I grow to appreciate how lucky the university, and especially the Ziegler School, is to have him at our helm. I, along with so many others, applaud his dedication to the Ziegler School and his visionary and innovative leadership of American Jewish University. Dr. Wexler.
Thank you, Melissa. You know, when students graduate from medical or law school, they immediately become doctors and they become lawyers, but they don't necessarily become leaders. But this evening, The moment you are ordained, oh no, you're already ordained. The moment you are ordained, sorry folks, the moment you are ordained as rabbis, you automatically become leaders of the Jewish people. The Talmud Yerushalmi, the Jerusalem Talmud, tells us that Rabbi Chagai appointed community leaders, or when he did that, he would have each one of them carry an actual Torah scroll, by way of saying that the authority that is bestowed on them is bestowed with God's authorization. As it says in the book of Mishlei and Proverbs, Bi melachim yimlochu, v'roznim yechokeku tzedek. By me kings reign, and by me rulers rule. And Rabbi Chagai had the right idea. Tonight, you are also going to stand in the presence of a Sefer Torah. And hopefully it will remind you that your ultimate authority as a rabbi does not derive from the Ziegler school, but derives from the Torah and from God. The Jerusalem Talmud also tells us that when people wanted to appoint the sage Rabbi Akiva as a community leader, he said, "First, let me consult my family." The people followed him home, and when his family advised him to accept the post, they heard him say that he would accept the post, Almanat makel, almanat mevazia, which means even if it means being disregarded, and even if it means being humiliated. Kind of upbeat. Rabbi Akiva's response is interesting for two reasons. First of all, it's noteworthy that he wanted to consult his family, given especially what we know about the patriarchal society in which Rabbi Akiva lived. Perhaps he understood instinctively that a leader, in order to be effective, needs to have the support of those closest to him or to her. More to the point, if you take a position of significant leadership, like being a rabbi, you've made a decision that also affects your spouse and your children. But what should we make of Rabbi Akiva's very cynical statement that he accepts the position of leadership, almanat makel, almanat mevazia, even if it means being disregarded and even if it means being humiliated? Well, I suppose that Rabbi Akiva was reflecting on the fact that we Jews are not the easiest people to lead. Obedience to a hierarchy, that's never really been one of our strong suits. So when you undertake leadership of the Jewish community, you have to anticipate being challenged and even on occasion being disregarded. After all, if Avraham and Moshe Rabbeinu could argue with God, then how much compliance should a rabbi expect from a congregation? From my perspective, the most important part of this whole Rabbi Akiva story is the fact that he did accept the position of leadership, even though he anticipated that it wasn't always going to be easy. I'd like to believe that he accepted the mantle of leadership because he understood that the rewards and the satisfactions of being a Jewish leader far outweigh the potential moments of frustration. You, our Ordinans, are not becoming rabbis because the rabbinate is without challenges. Rather, you, like Rabbi Akiva, are becoming rabbis because you embrace the challenges and because you understand that a lifetime of service to the Jewish people is nothing less than a noble calling, even if on occasion your message of devotion to Jewish values and to Jewish practice might sometimes go unheeded. And like Rabbi Chagai, you also understand that your mandate for leadership rests and exists only as long as you remain loyal to the teachings of the Torah, from which you draw all of your spiritual authority. Well, we think you've been well prepared for this moment. You've benefited from a devoted faculty and a devoted staff, and in particular, from the man who stands at the helm of the rabbinical school. I know that many of you came to us because you were attracted by the vision of rabbinic leadership that Rabbi Bradley Shavit Artson has created for the rabbinical school, for the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies. It is a vision that emphasizes spiritual growth. It is a vision that emphasizes the importance of community. It is a vision that emphasizes social justice. We are so happy to have Rabbi Artson with us at AJU, and I would like to ask you now to join me in expressing our appreciation for his efforts. 20 years ago, I received a phone call from this woman asking me what would it take to launch a rabbinical school at AJU. Well, I mean, inside my immediate response was a lot of money. At the time, it seemed like an impossible dream to start another rabbinical school, and on the West Coast, there'd never been a rabbinical school on the West Coast. But through her generosity and her support, she made it a reality. Her foresight forever changed the course of rabbinic education in this country. So please join me in recognizing, in absentia, Mrs. Ruth Ziegler. Rabbi Haggai mandated that each new leader carry with him a Torah scroll. Well, this evening, as you become official members of the rabbinic community, you will not be leaving us with actually an official Torah scroll in your hand, but you will leave us carrying a Torah. It's the Torah that you learned from your teachers, and it's the Torah that you painstakingly forged for yourselves through your study and your contemplation. It is that Torah that you will share with the world, and we know that you will make us very proud. Mazel tov.
Thank you, Dr. Wexler. It is now my great pleasure to invite Rabbi Bradley Shevet Artson, Abner and Rosalind Goldstein, Dean's Chair of the Ziegler School of Rabbinical Studies, to the podium. Rabbi Artson is the heart and the soul of the Ziegler School and a champion of the conservative movement. His reputation nationally and internationally has greatly enhanced the prominence of our rabbinical school. With his keen intellect, wisdom, kindness, and sensitivity, Rabbi Artson is the perfect leader for this school. I know I speak for all of us when I applaud his superb leadership and his remarkable dedication to his students, his colleagues, faculty, and staff. It has been my privilege to work with him as chair of the Ziegler Board, and I cherish our close friendship.
I can feel the momentousness of this evening every time we gather in this holy place. There are so many people who have made this possible, and I'm not capable of thanking all of them, but to enter into this occasion of making new rabbis without mentioning some of them would, I think, be unforgivable. The first is to reiterate my deep gratitude to Ruth Ziegler for being extraordinary and for being willing to make it possible for others to be extraordinary as well. I want to thank from the bottom of my heart my friend, the president of this university, Dr. Robert Wexler. To the chairman of the AJU board, Kevin Ratner, and the members of the AJU board, to the chairman of the Ziegler Advisory Board, Melissa Held-Bordy, and to the members of the Ziegler Advisory Board, if you would once again do me the kindness and rise so that we can thank you again. We are part of a confederation of dedicated individuals and innovative and energetic organizations, all working together to help to deepen and to spread a Judaism that is robustly traditional and profoundly modern at the same time. It gives me great pleasure to welcome the leadership of the Rabbinical Assembly, particularly Rabbi Judy Schoenfeld and Rabbi William Gershon, the Executive Vice President and the President of the Rabbinical Assembly. Thank you for being with us. We are honored tonight by the international president of the Women's League for Conservative Judaism, Carol Simon, the vice president of the Torah Fund, Debbie Kainer-Goldich, and Rabbi Lily Kaufman. Thank you for all that you do as well. We on the West Coast have been especially privileged to have a close relationship with the Federation of Jewish Men's Club, never more than when its international president has been a long-term member of our board and has carried that partnership to new heights. It's an honor to thank publicly Miles Simpson and the Federation of Jewish Men's Club. Of course, we work closely with United Synagogue of Conservative Judaism, and our Israel program is housed in the magnificent and priceless institution, the Conservative Yeshiva, whose acting director, Rabbi Joel Levy, graces us with his presence tonight as well. I would like to ask the members of the Rabbinical Assembly, the Cantors Assembly, the leadership of the Women's League, the Federation of Jewish Men's Club, and United Synagogue to rise and receive our gratitude. At the very heart of any university, and certainly of any traditional yeshiva worthy of its name, is a great faculty. A faculty strong in academic excellence at the cutting edge of their fields. But the challenge in teaching at a university that's also a yeshiva is to be able to integrate the strengths of traditional learning with the tools and the insights of the contemporary academy. We are blessed at this university to have a truly extraordinary faculty, and I would like to now ask the faculty of the Ziegler School and the American Jewish University to rise and to receive our thanks. And this school is blessed to be part of a great university whose academic and administrative team is truly first-rate. I would like to call out the names of the vice presidents to thank them and my fellow deans, Dr. Joanna Gerber, Dr. Daniel Gracian, Sam Levitt, Rabbi Gary Oren, Rabbi Jay Streer, Sophia Yalowski, Miriam Heller-Stern, Rhoda Weissman, and Daniel Gracian. Would you please rise so we can thank you as well? In this institution, when you use the word beloved, you mean only one person. Not that the others aren't beloved too, but only one has the title. I would like to ask our beloved rector, Rabbi Elliot Dorff, to receive our thanks. I know that it would be impossible to do the work that the school does without the extraordinary, close administrative team. The Associate Dean, Rabbi Cheryl Peretz, Associate Dean, Rabbi Aaron Alexander, the Mashpia Ruchanit, Reb Mimi Feigelson, give our school its unique depth, its attention to detail, and its breadth of vision. They are the wings upon which this school soars. Please join me in thanking them. I would also like to thank our partner, Camp Ramah in California, and my friend and colleague, Rabbi Joseph Menashe, the executive director of the camp, who actively works with us. And Rabbi Adam Greenwald, the talented director of the Miller Introduction to Judaism program. We are heartened this year by the presence of several Ziegler alumni, And I'd like to now invite those alumni, both of our full program and of our two-year program, to rise so we can thank you for being with us. Last but not least, you, the family of tonight's ordinands, have granted us access to some truly remarkable people. And I know as a parent that that doesn't happen by chance. So I would like to now invite this year's graduating class to join with me and to applaud in gratitude your parents, your grandparents, your family, your close friends. Please. So I will tell you, I've had a challenging schedule the last couple days. The reason that the Ziegler ordination is on a Tuesday night, which violates time-hallowed tradition, stretching back into hoary antiquity. The Ziegler ordination is always, always, always on a Monday night. But the only thing more powerful than unbroken tradition is my daughter, Shira. Who graduated from Ithaca College, which you know is in upstate New York. A piece of advice to Los Angeles parents: if you want to be sure that your children come home, send them somewhere very, very cold. But here's what I want to share with you about Ithaca College and its graduation ceremony. There are not a lot of our people there, if you know what I mean. Like there's basically nobody. Meaning, at that graduation ceremony, I saw only one kippah, and that was when I did aerial selfies. Of course, being a Jew in a place where there are not many Jews leads people to respond to you in unusual and piquant ways. Like, for instance, at a gathering of the women's crew team, on which my daughter is a coxswain, that's the person who shouts at everybody else she's making a lifelong skill into something valuable. Somebody from across the room sees my Jew hat and feels the need to tell me that they've always loved the Jewish people. In fact, they teach in a school, and every year in December they make a point of bringing one of those light things, and they teach people about Hanukkah as well as Christmas, because it's so important that we should all love each other, isn't it? And it is. But my favorite moment of the graduation ceremony came about as a result of the institution honoring with an honorary doctorate the remarkable playwright Tony Kushner. Oh. That gets an O. He was given 5 minutes to speak, and he stuck to his deadline. He was brilliant and short. At the reception afterwards, someone came over to me and told me that they were 79 years old, and they had never heard a better graduation speech. And I said, yeah, it was pretty good. And they told me their name, and so I said, Brad Artson, and he brushed it off. And then he proceeded to tell me that he's a great admirer of my plays. I'm a rabbi, so my job is to let people believe what they want. I will simply say thinking up that angel with wings was a bitch. But here's the serious lesson I learned from my time in upstate New York. We Jews are a strange and exotic creature. We are odd, we are unusual, we are slightly magical, and we are wonderful. The question that I want to pose to you, soon-to-be rabbis, is what is the appropriate Judaism that is also strange and weird and magical and wonderful? There are voices out in the world who try to force us to cower in fear, to create a Judaism of boxes and walls, a Judaism on retreat, a defensive sort of Judaism in which we attempt to minimize our losses. But that's not the Judaism that those people looked at me and saw. They saw weird and wonderful and magical. So my question to you, my challenge to you, my invitation to you is, can we rise to give them what they want? Can we give them a Judaism that is open and bold and boundary crossing and brave and world shattering and world shaping? Can we offer the world a Judaism that does not cower in fear, that does not assume a defensive posture, but proudly goes out in the world because we have something the world needs? We are not alone. The model exists. I think of Joseph in Egypt being the Jew. Imagine the stories he was told. And he was one shrewd guy, and he did some remarkable things. I think of our Queen Esther and how she was able in her community to mobilize our people and to bring allies to the table to fight an unjust decree. And I think of the greatest of them all, our Rabbi Moses, who wandered in diaspora his entire life, saying the world of pharaohs always will crumble. Don't stand too close to the palace. Don't become attached to the glory and the pomp. It will fall. But we, a people wandering, pledged to a God we do not see with our eyes, but we intuit with our heart, graced with a text of justice and yearning, we will see the empires rise and crumble and rise and crumble if we are true to who we are meant to be. I think of the values that move us in the world and that I hope move you as well. Ele varechev ve'ele vasusim v'nachnu b'shem Adonai Eloheinu nazkir. Some trust in chariots, some in horses, but we devote ourselves to the Lord our God. I think again of Joseph. Ve'ata yerei Pharaoh ish navon v'hacham, vayomer Pharaoh el avadav, hanimtza kazeh ish asher ruach Elohim vo. Now therefore, let Pharaoh select someone discreet and wise. And Pharaoh said to his servants, can we find such a one as this? a person in whom the Spirit of God resides, discreet and wise, and filled with the Spirit of God. That is who we are called to be. That is who we are invited to be. That is what the world expects us to be. We betray ourselves and them when we allow ourselves to be made into a tinsel pharaoh, into some cheap version of Rome, when we hide behind the convenient illusions of coercion or injustice or domination, we become a poor version of something we are not. My beloved students, we are the rich heirs of thousands of years of diaspora living. We celebrate with our brothers and sisters the resurgence of Jewish life in the land of Israel and its work to attain a just settlement for Israelis and for Palestinians, for democracy and for security in our land. But we are here, and we must turn to our roots, to those great models of diaspora life who knew enough to rely on wisdom and not coercion, who were able to rely on resilience rather than retribution, who excelled in learning and in compassion, whose patience was one of limitless depth, of faith and of hope. I bless each one of you and all of us tonight that we should here resolve to represent to the world a Torah that is a source of wisdom not only for our own, but for all peoples. A tradition that is a source of justice, not only for our tribe, but for all tribes and for the tribeless. I bless you that you should be a source and a channel for holiness, both for those with faith and those whose faith has been wounded and damaged and left behind. And finally, I invite you to live the vision of our prophet Isaiah, to become truly Or L'Goyim, a beacon to the nations, so that in the Rabbinic you breathe and live and walk, the world will know through you greater light, greater justice, and greater peace. We have asked each of our rabbinical school graduates to select a mentor to sponsor their candidacy for ordination. Each of these individuals has had a significant influence on the candidate for ordination, and their presence here symbolizes the continuity of Jewish life and study as it is transmitted from teacher to students. I am pleased to call upon Ari Michael Averbach and his sponsor, Dr. Malka Schulweiss. About Ari, Dr. Schulweiss has said, "You have a courageous sense of responsibility as you accept the most significant avodah any human being could choose, to elevate every Jewish person to accept the covenantal commitment to the moral breath of life."
Rabbi Artson, on behalf of the one who should be here tonight but is not, may I present to you Ari Michael Averbach, who was a beloved student of his, in whom he had great hopes that he would live to see him as a colleague, as Rav. This is the beginning of the realization of that hope. And so I am pleased to present him to you.
I am pleased to call upon Evelyn Sarah Baz, of whom Rabbi Sharon Brous, her sponsor, has said, "Your rabbinate will be one of listening and one of making music. Your spiritual leadership will stir hearts and move mountains."
I am pleased to be able to present Evelyn Sarah Baz, once my student, now also my Talmidah Chavira, my colleague as Rav.
I am pleased to be able to present Carrie Michelle Rosen Chaplin, of whom Rabbi Aaron Alexander, her sponsor, has said, "When you learn with Carrie, you access the words on a page from an expert. More importantly, though, you experience a wisdom that simultaneously constructs a mirror to reflect inward and a window to focus outward."
Carrie Michelle Rosen Chaplin, once my student, now also my Talmidah Chavira, my colleague as Rav.
I am pleased to be able to present Adir Nathaniel Glick, of whom Reb Mimi Feigelson and Rabbi Yoel Glick, his sponsors, have said, "Adir Nathaniel is a serious spiritual seeker and a tireless Oved Hashem, a servant of God. He walked softly in the world, radiating light, love, and peace to all those around him."
Once my student,
always my son.
Now our Talmid Chaver and colleague
and Rav.
I am pleased to be able to call upon Ronald Daniel Goldberg, of whom his sponsor, Rabbi Richard Kemnis, has said, "He is a student of people, a student of Torah, a student of life, always open to the lessons that God bestows."
Ronald Daniel Goldberg, once my student, now also my Talmid Chaver, my colleague as Rav.
pleased to call upon Andrew Solomon Green, of whom Rabbi Felipe Goodman, his sponsor, has said he possesses the unique ability to address and understand each human being at their own place, at their own time.
I am pleased to be able to present Andrew Solomon Green, once my student and now also my Talmid Chaver, my colleague as Rabbi.
I am pleased to call upon Oliver Spike Joseph, of whom Rabbi Feigelson and Rabbi Joel Levy, his sponsors, have said, Oliver stands as a loyal servant aspiring to ascend the mountain, only to bring down God's word, enhancing creation.
Once a student, now also our Talmid Chaver, our colleague, is Rav.
I am pleased to be able to call upon Marcus Lowell Rubenstein, of whom Rabbi Martin S. Cohen, his sponsor, has said, it is my pleasure to present you Marcus Rubenstein, a young man standing on the threshold of a great career in the rabbinate and a life of enduring service to the house of Israel and fully engaged in Torah study.
Marcus Lowell Rubenstein, once my student, now also my Talmid Chaver and my colleague as Rav.
I am pleased to call upon Ilan Abraham Schwartz, of whom Rabbi Elliot Dorff, his sponsor, has said, his enthusiasm and warmth will also demonstrate to those who come into his orbit how one can genuinely love the Jewish tradition and Jews with intellectual honesty.
I am pleased to be able to present Ilan Abraham Schwartz, just recently my student, now also my Talmid Chaver, my colleague as Rav.
I am pleased to call upon Cantor Marcia Emily Tilchin, of whom Rabbi Lily Kaufman and Rabbi Mordecai Kiefer, her sponsors, have said, your name conveys the power to lead, and as emunah, the foundation of faith in all that you do, enabling your enormous strength of optimism. You possess a generous and expressive heart. once our student, now also our Talmidah Chavera, our colleague as Rav. I would like to invite this year's ordinands to please return to their seats. At the Ziegler School, we take seriously the role of rabbi as teacher. For the past several years, the faculty of the school has shared their knowledge and insight to prepare these men and women for their careers in the rabbinate. This evening, we invite our new colleagues to teach us as we have taught them. The members of the class selected a text to teach this evening. They studied the text together, and they've asked one of their classmates, Ari Michael Averbuch, to represent them by sharing their collective insights. You may follow along in the text which is printed in your ordination programs on page 4. It is now my pleasure to call upon you, Ari, to represent the Ziegler School class of 2015.
Ilu Hotzianu, Mimitzrayim, Dayenu. Ilu Natan Lanu et HaShabbat, Dayenu. Ilu Natan Lanu et HaTorah, Dayenu. We don't just say these words. Most of us sing them, sitting around the Pesach Seder tables with our families. Some of us are singing these words in our heads right now. Dayenu, Dayenu, Dayenu. We can all do it together right now. All right. It would have been enough, we sing. It's a wonderful idea to think that had God just given us a sliver of what we have, it would be enough. This idea of having enough, of being satisfied with our lot, of being contented. It's really beautiful to be grateful for the miracles around you. It works on Pesach because we need the reminder of how lucky we are to have escaped slavery, let alone receive God's Torah. But it's a dangerous concept for everyday life. How menacing to look at the world as it is and feel there's nothing more to do, no more work to be done. This can't be the case. In actuality, there is always more work to do. We are partners with God in creation, a never-ending process. The work is infinite and infinitely important. Writer Leon Wieseltier said, "The incompleteness of the present is the premise of the Jew's existence." The incompleteness of the present is the premise of the Jew's existence. Our chosenness, our relationship with God, is to see the world not as it is, but as it ought to be, as the ideal that is still out there, not as Dayenu, we are satisfied with what we have, but as a constant struggle to better our world, the ultimate truth of our Torah, of all of our sacred texts, is that the world is unfinished, that the present is unfulfilled. Our prophets are constantly preaching that we need to be better people, that we need to change our ways. A prophet is not someone who merely talks with God, Lots of us talk with God. A prophet is someone who sees the world as it ought to be before anyone else. Someone who is unsatisfied with the status quo and believes humanity can do better. We have precious little time here, a few desperate moments to get it right. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel taught, at the heart of religious experience, something is asked of you. How will you answer that call? My class has begun answering this question. We have served as chaplains in hospitals, caring for patients and their families in the worst of situations. We've spent time at Beit Teshuvah, guiding the fallen through life's difficulties. We have traveled to Siberia to bring sacred moments to those who have been searching. We have brought people of different faiths together in prayer. We have shared the Pesach Seder with Darfuri refugees in Tel Aviv, who walked our same path through the Sinai desert, searching for asylum. We have surfed and meditated and spoken about difficult issues and sung and danced as ways of treating the brokenness inside our community. We've had the unique opportunity to look past the is of the world to help create the ought. What is most exciting is that our work is only beginning. That as the future unfolds us across 6,000 miles, we're able to continue bringing holiness to the lives of those we encounter, and to do so with intense discipline and humility. To paraphrase President Lincoln, the world will little note nor long remember what is said here today, but I can only hope it will never forget all the work we have yet to do. As a class, we have learned countless texts that elucidate the sanctity of the world, and have chosen but one to share with you tonight. Rav Avraham Yitzchak HaKohen Kook lived at a time of immense possibility, when the idea of a Jewish homeland was being seriously considered for the first time in nearly 2,000 years. In this beautiful piece from Rav Kook, he notes that there's a need to enter a traklin. Traklin is a Greek-ish word for palace. The palace is ostensibly the world to come, a heavenly place. A palace of purity and holiness, a place we long to spend eternity. But how do we get into that palace? It would seem near impossible to find an entrance to such an exclusive place. Not so, writes Rav Kook. There is a gate, and the gate to the kingdom of heaven reveals itself in this world, not just in one place, not in one kind of act or in one area, but everywhere. There is no limit, because there is no limit to godliness in this world. Our job, which can never be completely done, is to help direct everyone we meet toward the gate to enter this palace. Rav Kook's way to do this is manifold, because everything we do, every breath and every encounter and every word we read or think or speak or hear or teach has the supernal potentiality of bringing us closer to the palace. As one of my classmates is fond of saying, we have to puk chazeh. It's Aramaic for go out and see and experience. We cannot understand the wonders of God's world by sitting ensconced in a book. Theologian Franz Rosenzweig writes, books are not now the prime need of the day. What we need more than ever, or at least as much as ever, are human beings. Though we need the book to direct us, we only get closer to the gate of the palace by stepping out, by interacting. We must be reminded of the diversity of God's divinity, of the limitlessness of possibilities, the expansiveness of God's ways. This year we lost two exceptional teachers. Rabbi Ronnie Cohen taught me, I'll get through this, taught me that, and if not, I'm calling one of you. They're really good rabbis. Rabbi Ronnie Cohen taught me the beauty of linguistics. He showed me how to look at a word and know everything about it, to break it down, to love the minutiae of grammar and the magnitude of language. My first semester of school, I spent Friday mornings in his room, struggling. Well, if you could even imagine such a thing, I couldn't differentiate an eat pa'il from an eat pa'al. With great patience and enthusiasm, Rabbi Cohen used charts and graphs and kindness to make sure that everyone in the class fully understood the nuances. I credit him for my love of Hebrew and Aramaic word structure, for getting me to a place where I could get nerdily excited over imperfect causative passive tense, for teaching me compassion in the classroom. This year we also lost Rabbi Harold Schulweis, the one who urged me to come to rabbinical school. So I have him to thank for where I am in my life, for helping guide me toward that palace. He taught that we must stop thinking small. Judaism is a religion with global narrative, with a God we call Melech HaOlam, the ruler of the universe. We are not a parochial people. It's our duty to look beyond, to see more, to try something new. As we hear stories of the shrinking of the movement, of the bleakness of the future, we look to Rav Kook's text to remind us that the possibilities are endless. And I remember the two words that Rabbi Schulweis added silently to his prayers. Through me. Blessed are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who, through me, clothes the naked, who through me feeds the hungry, heals the sick, takes care of the widow and the orphan and the stranger. It's our duty as God's holy partners to bring about God's vision, to live lives of godliness, to show people the way to the gates of the palace. To all of our teachers from Ziegler and from before, I have teachers here from elementary school and my middle school math teacher is here today. That's not funny. She's really here. Thank you for showing us the way to the palace, for guiding us and encouraging us. Actually, Ms. Prater, there's a card that you wrote me when I graduated middle school that I still have on our fridge right now. Vanessa hung it up there. To my incredible classmates, I'm honored to have learned with you, to have shared sacred space with you. This is our task. You have to ask yourself, what's the risk you're willing to bear? The burden is heavy. It's daunting and will take our lives, showing people each in our unique way to this palace, be it through yoga, or Chassidut, or Rambam, or surf therapy, or music. To all of you, thank you for your endless support, for raising us and caring for us and bringing us to this moment. To our spouses and our friends, for being there even as we experiment with our levels of observance, even when our every conversation seems to center about what we learned in school, even when we seem to have more conversations with rabbis who have been gone for centuries than we do with you. This is our pledge to you. We will work towards finding the gate by any means necessary, because what the world needs from us is to work towards the ought that doesn't yet exist, and to refrain from saying dayenu, from believing the world is good enough. I now call up my friend, my neighbor, my colleague, almost Harav Hanan Shlomo, Rabbi Andrew Solomon Green, to lead us in Kaddish de Rabbanan.
Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah be'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayeh d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'yimeru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lomei olmaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar, v'yitale, v'yitalal, Shmei the Kudasha, Brichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran ve'alma v'yimeru, amen. Al Yisrael ve'al Rabbanan ve'al Talmidehon ve'al kol Talmidehon ve'al kol man da'askin be'oraita di ve'atra hadein ve'di ve'chol atar ve'atar yehe lechon ulechon shlama rabba china ve'chista v'rachamin ve'chayin arichin u'mezona rivecha u'furkana min kadam avuhon di v'ishmaya v'imru, amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim tovim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu barachamav yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen.
You may be seated. Thank you, Ari and Andy, and the class of 2015. One of the strengths of the Ziegler School is our integration of academic scholarship with spiritual depth. As Mashpia Ruchanit, Reb Mimi Feigelson will frame the Jewish ideal of the relationship between mentor and student. Reb Mimi.
Dear ones, on the first night of Rosh Hashanah, on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, I sat to meditate before going to shul. But as I closed my eyes, I see myself standing here talking to you tonight. As soon as Rosh Hashanah was over, I jotted down all I remember. I've been waiting since then to share this with you. In Masechet Avot, the tractate of our elders, we are taught in the name of Rabbi Yaakov, or perhaps in some manuscripts, Rabbi Shimon, one who walks along a road and studies, and interrupts their studies to say, how beautiful is this tree? How beautiful is this plowed field? The Torah regards it as if they have forfeited their life. המלך בדרך ושונה, ומפסיק ממשנתו ואומר, מה נאה לן זה? מעלה עליו הכתוב כאילו מתחייב בנפשו. How seemingly extreme. If you are walking on the way, and clearly you are reciting from memory the Torah, your Torah, and you pause to take pleasure in the beauty of God's world, it is as if you have cut yourself off from the source of life. As my students, you know me well enough to know that I have no ability to entertain the literal meaning of the Mishnah. Pshat, don't know what it means. And indeed, it is Rav Kook, thank you for bringing him already to the podium. And it's Rav Kook that holds my heart and my understanding. Rav Kook teaches, if you think for a moment that recognizing the beauty of the world is not part of your learning, is not part of God's revelation, then, and only then, you are truly disconnected from the source of life. If you think that lifting your eyes from a book and seeing the magnificence of a person in front of you, or the desperate need for your intervention in mending a broken heart or world as pausing from your learning, then, and only then, you are truly disconnected from God's vision of your mission in the world. I can't leave you without a short story. One I'm sure you've heard. It's the late 90s, and I'm learning by myself on a summer day in the Beit Midrash at Yakar in Yerushalayim. A young man with his 5-year-old son, Yona, enters the room. I'm alone in the building, hence have no choice but to be nice. Too much laughing. Too many people know me. After making Aliyah to Tzfat, they were contemplating moving to Yerushalayim. Though experiencing them as taking me from my learning, I share graciously all I knew and happily returned to my studies when they finally left. Unfortunately, in my mind at that moment, they returned. Yona, said the father, has a question I thought you could answer. I start to shake inside. You can only speak complete truth to children, I remind myself. Yona tells me that every day he prays the silent prayer, the Shmona Esrei, and Birkat HaMazon, the grace after the meals. He prays for the rebuilding of the temple. And that morning, while visiting the old city, he sees the temple isn't there. Mimi, he says, why isn't it there? I find myself thinking, I thought they were disturbing my learning, but master of the world, Ribono Shel Olam, Ima Ila'ah, I'm sitting in the presence of someone who believes in the power and truth of prayer. To Yonah I say, what? It's not there? He shrugs, no, disappointed. I ask him to do me a favor and close his eyes. Now it is my turn to pray, like crazy, like never before. As I ask, can you see it now? Long moments of silence till I see a smile and a nod on his head. Now, open your eyes and let me tell you a secret you can share with everyone. There are some things that you can only see them with your open eyes. To see where the sidewalk ends and the street begins, you need your open eyes. When you walk in the street, you need to keep your eyes open. Some things, though, are so dear to our heart that the only way we can see them is with closed eyes. Whenever you want to see the Mikdash, the temple, you can see it with closed eyes. Ari Moshe, Eliana Shion, Pered Moshe, Adir Netanel, Rafael Daniel, Hanan Shlomo, Abraham, Meir, Ilan Avraham, Manya Emunah. On the 46th night of the Omer, the night of Netzach Shebemalchut, the everlasting manifestation of God, I bless you. There is never an encounter with the gifts and challenges of life that feel to you disconnected from your highest form of learning and revealing God's light in the world. I bless you that in the way my teacher, Reb Shlomo, gave me a new pair of eyes to serve God with, you too will serve with both your open and closed eyes. I pray that the streets of the world continuously change you and your Torah as you read both of them, the streets and your personal Torah, with your open and closed eyes. I bless us both that with the grace with which we walked together till now, with open eyes, we continue to walk together and see each other with our closed eyes. Mazal Tov, and I love you so very much.
I would like to invite our ordinands to reascend and to take their places on the bima. Jewish law requires that most official acts be sanctioned by a Beit Din, or rabbinical court, of at least 3 rabbis. As we turn to the ordination of our new rabbis, we invite 3 individuals to serve as the Beit Din who will officially invite our students into the rabbinic community. We welcome Rabbi William Gershon, President of the Rabbinical Assembly, and Rabbi Julie Schoenfeld, the Executive Vice President of the Rabbinical Assembly, and invite them now to serve as members of the Beit Din. We express to each of them our appreciation for traveling a considerable distance to be with us at this momentous occasion. The Rabbinical Assembly stands at the heart of the conservative Masorti movement in Judaism, and we are honored to have as participants in this ordination 2 of its most distinguished leaders. Presiding as the Av Beit Din, or head of the rabbinical court, will be Rabbi Elliot Dorff, the rector of the American Jewish University and Saul and Ann Dorff Distinguished Professor of Philosophy in the Ziegler School. Rabbis, will you please take your places? May I ask all of us to rise as Rabbi Peretz and Rabbi Alexander open the ark for the moment of ordination. Rabbi Dorf, Rabbi Gershon, and Rabbi Schoenfeld, at this joyous moment, I commend to you the candidates for ordination of the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies, the class of 2015.
Olamcha tir'eh b'chayecha, v'acharitcha l'chayei ha'olam haba, v'tikvatcha l'dor dorim. Libcha yeheget tfuna, picha yedaber chochmot, ulashoncha yarchish rananot. Afapecha yashiru negdecha, einecha yairu b'maor Torah, ufanecha yazhiru kezoar harakia. Siftotecha yabiu da'at, v'chilyotecha ta'alozna mesharim. Ufa'amecha yarutzu lishmoa divrei atik yomin. May you see your world in your lifetime. May you inherit the world to come. And may your hope last for all generations. May your mind understand many things. May your mouth speak words of wisdom, and may your tongue sing with joy. May your eyes look straight before you, and may they be enlightened by the light of the Torah. May your face shine like the brightness of the firmament. May your lips utter words of knowledge, your heart rejoice in upright deeds, and your steps run to hear the words of the Ancient of Days.
May the words of Torah, Adonai our God, be sweet in our mouths and in the mouths of all your people, so that we and all your children of the house of Israel may grow come to love you and to study your Torah on its own merit.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you with all the good things in life and guard you from the bad. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. May God smile on you and give you beyond what you deserve. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God face you and grant you peace. Amen.
You may be seated. Cheryl, are you going to handle me the... Can't be good help these days. It is my honor and pleasure to welcome into the rabbinic community Rabbi Marcia Emily Tilchin. Rabbi Ilan Abraham Schwartz. Rabbi Marcus Lowell Rubenstein. Rabbi Oliver Spike Joseph. Rabbi Andrew Solomon Green. Rabbi Ronald Daniel Goldberg. Rabbi Adir Nathaniel Glick. Rabbi Carrie Michelle Rosen Chaplin. Rabbi Evelyn Sarah Baz. Rabbi Ari Michael Averbach. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to present to this community the world's newest rabbis.
One more time, Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov to our new rabbis, their families, and friends. On behalf of the Advisory Board of the Ziegler Faculty, Administration, and staff, I want to thank you all for being with us this joyous evening to celebrate this occasion. Now for the footnotes at the end. After the closing benediction, please allow our new ordained rabbis and our honored guests to descend from the bima and lead us to the AJU Berg Dining Hall for desserts, reception, and most importantly, celebration. At this time, I'd like to call upon Rabbi Cheryl Peretz, Associate Dean of the Ziegler School, to close with the benediction. Rabbi Peretz.
I have to begin with expression of gratitude to Rabbi Averbach and his classmates who have now, I wish I had thought of it myself, but given me the inspiration for next year's benediction in talking about the risk you're willing to bear. So come back next year to hear that. But from my teacher, Rabbi Feinstein, I actually learned to find a text a different way, which is to think about how you teach text as a story. And so that's what I want to do as we conclude, because there's a wonderful story that I love that is as simple as it is deep, and it is for as much for children as it is for adults, that you find in no place else but the Talmud. And it's a story of a man and a tree. A man who is walking through the desert. He's hungry, he's weary, he's thirsty, and all of a sudden in this desert he sees an oasis in the form of a tree that is shady, that is full of sweet fruit, and has a stream flowing through it with water. And so he eats, he drinks, and he rests in the shade of this tree. And as he's about to leave, he realizes that he wants to do what his mother taught him he should do, which is to say thank you. And so he says to this tree, Ilan, Ilan, bameh everechecha. O tree, with what shall I bless you? I could bless you that your fruits be sweet, but they already are. I could bless you that your shade be pleasant, but it already is. I could bless you that a stream flow beneath you, but it already does. And so, O tree, he says, I will bless you that all of the shoots, all of the branches from this tree will be like you. And I suspect that for each of us in this sanctuary, in this moment, as we prepare to part from one another after this incredible gathering, we can somehow say, I ate from the fruit of the tree tonight. I drank from the water, and I dwelled in the shady embrace of this tree. A few hours ago, we entered this space together, having rushed to get here, to get a choice seat, having journeyed through our own metaphysical desert, though certainly this unseasonably cool Los Angeles weather doesn't really help paint this picture of my metaphor, but use your imagination, if you will. But we have truly experienced something extraordinary. And in this moment, if like I, you are sitting here with a heart full, a spirit sated, and a soul satisfied. Loving family members, significant others, spouses, parents, siblings, children, grandchildren, grandparents, and friends are quelling over one of our 10 new rabbis having reached their potential and being a source of great familial pride. And of course, there's now a new rabbi in the family. And for rabbinical school colleagues, this is a moment of holy recognition that in their own good time, they too will stand on the bima as the next link in the generation of those who transmit Torah. And today, teachers taste the fruit of their labor, a labor of love, of passion, and of Torah. And for so many rabbis, this is a moment when time stands still and we relive the moment of our own ordination, of the moment in which we made the same pledge that we heard others make tonight, to serve God and the Jewish people. And for community members at large who thirst for meaning, perhaps for just a moment, that has been quenched, even momentarily by the creative and expressive Torah that these rabbis brought to you through their internships, through their personal connections, and even as we heard tonight. Indeed, we have eaten from the fruit of this tree, we have drank the water, and we have found protection from our own wandering in the wilderness beyond. And for our 10 new rabbis, this moment is one that represents the leaving of a tree in a different way. For them, rabbinical school learning and chavruta, Torah, spiritual and practical preparations have provided a certain level of sustenance, shade, and protection. And now, each of you leave us to serve God in communities in Illinois, in Massachusetts, in New York, in New Jersey, in the United Kingdom, in Ohio, and here in Southern California. And we truly bless you that through your Torah, you will comfort, challenge, inspire, and uplift others to be like you, emulating your passion, your commitment, your pursuit of justice, and meaning. And for all of us, we raise our voice in blessing that recognizes that we are, each one of us, like the generations that came before us, the offshoots of those who taught us our own Jewish connections. And we do so by together expressing collective gratitude to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy Blessing One, for having brought us to this moment, in this time, in this place together. And so I ask you to join with me in singing the Shechianu as we close this sacred moment. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu vekimanu vehigianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu vekimanu vehigianu lazman hazeh. Given us life, who has sustained us and brought us to this moment of time, distinctive in its blending of holy space and of holy time. Amen.
Amen.